what are the biggest concerns about mental health in the NBA, and what should the league do?
Well, I mean, obviously from a player's perspective, you have your right to privacy, and everything that Jackie talked about is correct, that this could influence, right? But I'm going to be the jerk for a second. I know it's not a role I'm accustomed to. And speak from a team's perspective, right? So people are talking about mental health. We should treat it the same way we treat regular health. A guy tears his ACL, a guy has a panic attack. These are all kind of similar things medically that are happening to them that's preventing them from doing what they need to do on the court. If a guy tears his ACL, the team knows about it. If a player like DeJuan Blair, for instance, has no ACLs, the teams know about it, his draft stock falls. Michael Porter Jr., bad back. Teams know about it, his draft stock falls. So if we're going to treat mental health like health, then the teams do have a right to know about it, and it should affect your stock, because what we're basically talking about is your availability to perform in a given situation.
If teams have the right to know about it, they're going to know nothing, because what you're basically telling guys is, look, you have to suppress this. You cannot trust these team-employed psychologists. If that's a situation where you know that information is flowing from you to your psychologist or your mental health professional straight to the owner and GM, there is no way guys are going to be willing to go in there and trust those people and reach out for help. And then it's right back to the situation that Kevin Love was talking about, where your suppression. If you care about the health of the players, that stuff has to absolutely be private, just like if ESPN cares about our mental health. When we go to a therapist, they're not privy to that information.
Well, it's interesting, too, because Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan, two guys that you talked about, Kevin Love ends up signing a huge contract after he makes his revelation in the, to the Players Tribune. What's interesting about it, though, a lot of teams over the years in every sport have employed kind of counselors that they want players to approach and to talk to. And you mentioned trust, Tim. A lot of the times the players don't trust those guys because they're worried that counselor could be serving almost like as a spy to management. So I always think there's going to be a lot of mistrust. I would say this: there's no way the Players Association is ever going to sign off on something like this. No way agents would ever do it, and players would never do it.
Well, it doesn't feel like Adam Silver is even potentially signing off on this, as we saw the statement from the league. But Adam Silver joined C.J. McCollum on stage, I believe, maybe for one of his podcasts, and here's what he had to say.
I was talking to Michelle Roberts, executive director of the Players Association. They are also putting in place a state-of-the-art program so that if for some reason a player isn't comfortable talking to his team directly, isn't comfortable dealing with the league, you can go right to the Players Association and they'll have an independent program which is kept private.
The interesting part to me is this. I think the league, particularly under Adam Silver, has done a really good job of making the players feel like this is their league too. So I understand, and look, I can empathize, okay? I've had panic attacks. I've dealt with depression and anxiety. I see a therapist, and thankfully ESPN allows me the opportunity to do that. But I think that you mentioned trust. I trust that that information won't get back to ESPN, and I can keep it to myself if I want to, or I can discuss it freely like we just did now. But because the league has done such a great job of bridging that gap between players and owners in so many other capacities, don't you feel like this could be something they could do as well?
Absolutely. And I want to be clear, there's a difference between what you should do as a good person and what, as a general manager, as a team, trying to make decisions, trying to win games. Man, I'm trying to get every advantage I can get. And if that means I got to find out what, that's a real thing.
But doesn't that happen, though, over the course of, let's say you're drafting a player. You're interviewing so many people from his background, including his college coach, friends of his. You're going to sit down with the player themselves. Come on, I mean, you worked in the front office. You know that there are whispers about certain players in the league, and that kind of gets out there.
For some people, it ain't even whispers. It's known. You know, the big thing about this great series that Jackie's working on is how many guys came on the record to talk about it.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, I'm looking at it like, yeah, I knew. Yeah, I knew. I don't know how I knew, but if you're in the circles, you know.
But you're talking about, okay, we need to be privy to this information as teams so we don't make mistakes. How about you protecting your investment by encouraging these players to have the ability to address those issues? That, to me, is a much more effective form. Okay, maybe if you have the information, first of all, again, you're basically telling players, look, you should be scared to deal with your mental health issues. That is much more damaging than saying, okay, we're not going to make a mistake on this contract because we have this official diagnosis. When, like Frank said, these guys, their backgrounds, the stuff is so thorough that they know there's issues. They might not know an official diagnosis.
It's one of those things where it's, yes, you're right, but also if I have a chance, I'm taking it. Right? It's just like, should I pull my opponent's jersey while he's trying to cut? No, that's cheating. But if I can do it, and then I'm not going to go.
What about the level of player? I'm sorry, but what about the level of player? It's one thing for Kevin Love, DeMar DeRozan to come out. What about that guy who's the 12th or 15th man on the roster? Does he want to come out and talk about this, where they might say, you know what, is this really the guy that we want to give $500,000 to? We'll give it to somebody else?
Argue. So you could argue that that's what happened to Royce White. He was a guy who was very open about it.
That's what I was going to bring up next.
But what ended up happening, sorry.
That's okay.
But when it happened with Royce White, a lot of people said, oh, he got blackballed. He didn't get blackballed, but there is an element of how good is he? Is he worth it, right? Yeah. If we're LeBron,
hey,
doesn't matter.
DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar DeRozan.
Delonte West's career ended because while he was absolutely an NBA caliber player, the mental health issues and his struggles with that, his inability to kind of get his arms around it and keep his arms around it, it became a situation where the production and all the issues, it didn't work. And the Mavericks, the last team he played for, they tried hard to help him, and he just couldn't get his arms around it.
So the analogy I'd use is, if we're going to treat it like it's a health concern and not touchy-feely stuff like we used to, right? If there was a player who had consistently kept getting hurt, are you going to give him a full max deal and say, oh, no, he's good. He's good for it. Depends on the talent. Joel Embiid got hurt a lot. Guess what? That talent says I'm paying him. But like you said, Frank, if it's a fringe guy, no, I'm just going to get the next one who doesn't have that health issue.
Yeah, I just think there's a way to bridge that gap, right? And that, to me, is the bigger issue here. And I'm with Amin on that. That if you're going to treat regular health the same way as mental health, you're going to have these things come up, right? So you're going to have to just kind of find a way for Adam Silver, the Players Association, the owners, everyone to get together in a room and try to iron this stuff out.